Now remember, if you will please, remember to keep your phones off and stay seated during our speaker. Would you please help me enthusiastically welcome tonight's speaker, Tim.
Hi everybody, I'm Tim, I'm an alcoholic. I'm grateful to be here tonight. Mike, thank you for asking me to share. It's always an honor to share in a room with Alcoholics Anonymous. I had to go out to my truck and get that chip, and I totally forgot what the topic was. Oh, alcoholism. No, just kidding. I mean, it's just an amazing thing. You know, welcome to the newcomer. I believe his name was Seth. That was Wes. We got the year. I was going to say Wes. And Justin and Caesar, welcome from out of town. I hope after tonight you hear me share, you come back. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome to the newcomer. Welcome to the out-of-towners. Welcome to everybody who took chips. It's awesome, man. It made me think of when I was first getting sober, the first sponsor that I had back in 2013, and I got one chip, my 24-hour chip, and he's like, did you get another chip? Or he said, why don't you get another chip tonight? And it was in the same week, and I was like, well, I already got one. I don't need to get another one. And I think it was my 30-day chip, and he's like, no, get another one. And I said, for what reason? I've got one. And he's like, it's not about you. It's about the other guy in the room, you know, that sees you do that, the guy that struggled to get one day, you know, that one 24-hour chip. And I was like, damn, I didn't see it like that, because I am a selfish, self-centered person. We'll say that. I try not to use any profanity while I'm up at the podium. I am a sailor, so that's very hard to do, you know, so, to try and keep that at bay. But it's out of the respect for Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's also why you see me wearing a suit up here. It's like I don't just walk out of my house wearing a suit when it's 102 degrees in Prescott, you know, just for the hell of it. But it's out of the respect for Alcoholics Anonymous. It's the life that this program has given me is nothing that I ever could have imagined. I definitely do not deserve it after all the things that I've done to people and my family and my friends and everything, but it gave me the opportunity to right those wrongs and to move forward in my life and finally just grow up. My sobriety date's March 24th, 2018. I don't say that because I want you to, or how much time I've got or anything, but that's a very important date to me because that's the date that I finally surrendered over to my higher power, my will, because my way wasn't working anymore. It just wasn't going the way that, the only place it was leading was to death. So anyways, I'm extremely grateful to be here, and that's all I got. Thanks. No. All right, enough cheesy stuff. So when I was 5 years old, you know, I grew up in a good family. You know, my parents were good. My family, you know, was, you know, your normal dysfunctional family. You know, my older brother running away from home, my sister fighting with us. She's the oldest sister. You know, just your regular stuff. A lot of alcoholism runs in our family. You know, when we go back to family reunions in North Dakota, you'd see everybody, all the uncles, the great uncles, and, you know, older guys passing around a bottle of Jack until it's gone, or a bottle of, you know, whatever, Irish whiskey, until it was gone. They just stand in a circle and do that. And I always saw that, and I was always just like, God, I want to be like that someday, you know. And, at the time, being that young, I didn't, you know, it's not like I was an alcoholic. I don't believe I was an alcoholic. But when I was 5 years old and my brothers, were at the wet bar mixing a bunch of drinks together, and they gave it to me, and they said, here, Timmy, drink this. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. My older brothers want me to drink something. I'm going to try it, you know, and, you know, I want to be cool. I want to be accepted, you know. So that was always in my life. I always wanted to be accepted for everything, and I always wanted to be a part of. And, so I did like the effect produced by it, though. You know, even that young, I can remember the effect produced by it, and I also got sick. But, you know, it's not like at that time I started calling in sick to school and started drinking every day. But it was just like that first taste is, you know, what I don't know. It was like life-changing, if you will. And so, as I grew up and went through high school, you know, I always got good grades, and I always, you know, just liked to party on the weekends and get good grades at school, and I never really pushed the limit, you know. Out of high school, I started mixing a couple other mind-altering substances towards the end of junior high and then the end of high school. And then I graduated high school and I joined the Navy. And then I went in the Navy and just drank. It's like I was getting away from the drugs to go become an adult and change my life. I mean, I did change some things, but my alcoholism progressed through that stage. Got out of the Navy, continued to drink, continued to party. Just never really wanted to grow up. Never wanted to, start a career, if you will. I just always wanted to go and do the next fun thing. I just wanted to, have a good time. And that eventually graduated to the point where in 2000, I'm just going to skip through all that, fast forward. In 2010, I really started mixing other mind-altering substances with alcohol, which progressed my alcoholism even more. And then in 2013, it was a daily thing. It was all day, every day. I couldn't wake up and go to work. And I was talking with one of my sponsees today. We were going over steps 8 and 9 at the Brown Bag Burger or whatever. If you've never been there, that place is awesome. But that's beside the point, outside issue. I was talking to him and I was like, it's crazy living in the present moment like I do today. I always lived in the past and in the future. And I was just sitting down there talking with him and I was like, the gifts that come from this program are so amazing. And, what has transpired in my life it truly, I couldn't really explain it to him, but it just is amazing. And I kind of forgot what I was even going to say there, but I'm just going to skip forward. So I got to the point where I was drinking all day, every day. Yes, that's what I was going to say. I just remembered it. So I was at that point where I was thinking, like, when I wake up in the morning and look at myself in the mirror, and in my active alcoholism, to the point where I'm at in my story right now, is like I'd wake up, look at my face all puffy, just skin changing color, my hair looking like it's falling out, my nails brittle, and just wondering, how did I do this again? How did I drink myself to oblivion again? And, it's like today I wake up and I'm just in that present moment thinking of like, what can I do for the next suffering alcoholic today, And if my sponsee does call me and, I'm going to pick up the phone because I try to be, to the best of my ability, in constant thought of others. And I was rewinding that, just sitting there with him, thinking about how selfish and self-centered I was at that point in my alcoholism when I was just killing myself. Anyways, it was just like one of those like epiphanies where I'm sitting there and I'm just like so grateful for what I've got today, and to be able to sit down with another member of Alcoholics Anonymous, watching him grow and watching him learn and watching him wanting to do this program. And he's a young kid. He's 18 years old. When he first came to me, I was just like, this kid's not going to stick around, It's like I'm not perfect, and I do judge people, but it's like, of course I want you to succeed. But the reason I'm working with them is so that I, will stay sober and I can do this. It's kind of a selfish thing, but it's like, if I don't give it away, I'm not going to keep it. So anyways, I'm just going to backtrack. I got a little ahead of myself because I just wanted to tell you about that little glimpse that I had today. So in 2013, I started drinking all day, every day. And I'm living with my mom. I'm 33 years old at the time, 32, 33 years old. I can't hold the job anymore. So I checked myself into the Salvation Army after I almost crashed my car. And I did a 6-month program there. And I got out of the Salvation Army, and then I went into their, the whole time I was in there too, all I could think about is like, how I would manage my alcoholism when I got out of here. You know, when I first went in there, it was like, I gotta stop this. I can't do this anymore. My life is so unmanageable. This is the worst thing ever. But then after I'm in there for a little bit and I get a little bit of sobriety and I get, you know, that feeling back where I get a little healthy, I'm like, okay, so maybe when I get out of here, I can just do some hydrocodones or maybe a Percocet here or there, or, you know, maybe I can do that. So I'm already telling myself, you know, and I'm not calling my sponsor like I should be, and I'm not working the steps like I should be. And I'm like, okay, so I'm building up all these reservations. So when the time comes, I get out of there and then I get into the halfway house that they have. It's like a 6-month halfway house. It's like basically stepping you into the real world. I'm sure some of you know what that's about. And so I get out of there, and the day I get out of there, I get a house with my buddies from high school. And I get out of there, and I get to that house for the very first night. There's no furniture. There's no anything. And I call my buddy, and I say, hey, man, I was like, maybe I just can do some of those caramels that you got now that they're talking about. You know, maybe I could just do some of those. And so I get these caramels from him, and at that time I'd never, you know, eaten any, you know, weed or whatever, you know, in the wax form or whatever. So I'm sitting down at my house, and he's like, just eat half of one, dude. Just eat half of one. He's like, but don't drink. He knows what I get like when I drink. He's like, but don't drink. He's like, just eat half of one, and you'll be good. And so I eat a whole one, of course, in my alcoholic mind. And I'm sitting there, and nothing's happening. And I was like, all right, I'll eat another one. And they're like 60 milligrams. And the next thing you know, dude, I'm in that house by myself, and I'm just like straight tripping. I'm like, this is why they call weed a hallucinogen. And it was like the scariest moment of my life. Why I'm telling you that story is because the next day, the thought that went in my mind was the very same thought of me having a drink of alcohol, because I was still going to meetings at the time, and that feeling of being ashamed and just like I have failed people, and now I got to go on the whole, I got to lie to you and I got to put a face on, you know, how am I going to show up to a meeting and know that I've put a mind-altering substance in my body, and then, you know what I mean? And that's neither here nor there. It's not like it destroyed my life when I did that, but the fact of the matter is that it planted something up here when I already wasn't working a program. So once that was up here, it was like it was on. And the wheels were turning. And so from that moment, the day after I got home from work, the next day, I went and got a tall boy. And then the next thing you know, I'm drinking, you know, a fifth of vodka, and then that turns into a half gallon, and it all happens like that. And so that gets me, you know, straight back to where I was at. And during this whole time that this is going on, my dad's dying of cancer. And so I want to be there for my dad and help him and take care of him. But I'm right back in my active alcoholism in my selfish ways, but I still go over there and I'm there for my dad. Well, the Salvation Army, I got a job with them when I got out of there, and they allowed me to be with my dad and still paid me sick time to take care of him. So the whole time that I'm taking care of my dad while he's dying of cancer, I'm drinking, and I'm getting wasted, and I'm doing his drugs that they're giving him, and I'm just full on, you know, active alcoholism. Something that, you know, me as a right-minded, I guess I really can't say that because I'm still crazy today. But, you know, as a person working this program, let's say today, you know, that would never even cross my mind for 1 second. I would be there for my dad. I would help my dad, you know. I love my dad. I still loved him, but it's that disease of, you know, perception that tells me that it's okay that I'm doing this. And then, so anyways, you know, I called my buddy from the Salvation Army, and I said, listen, man, I need help. Can you help me out? I need to get sober again. So I get sober towards the end of taking care of my dad for the last 2 months of his life. So I got to make an amends to him, and you know, I just went to him and I just said, you know, Dad, I've wronged you in so many ways, and I've been such a bad son, you know, and this is while he's, you know, dying of cancer, and I just want to know what I can do to make that right, you know. And he just looked at me and he's like, Timmy, you have so much potential. You know, I do not want to see you throw it all away with this damn alcohol, you know. And that right there, I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay sober for the rest of my life for my dad. And the next Father's Day after that, my dad was gone, He died December 12th, 2015. And the Father's Day after that in June, which is coming up here, happy Father's Day to any of you that are dads in the room. That's coming up on Sunday. But the Father's Day after that, I'm taking care of my sister's house, and I'm sitting in her house, and I'm all alone. And a Father's Day commercial comes on TV, and I'm just like, oh, I don't have a dad anymore, and I'm sad. And my sister's got a ton of alcohol on top of that thing. And of course, I'm not working a program again, who I was calling my sponsor every day. But at that point, it's just like I'm still in my selfish, living my own will and doing whatever I want to do. And so I'm like, I deserve a drink. And dude, I was right off to the races. So when the saying that it's always worse, never better, and it comes on quicker, man, is never more true. It's like my alcoholism, it's not like it's just getting stronger and stronger, but it's like that progression is just that there's no more spiral for me. It's just step off the edge and I'm gone. And so at that point, I continued to drink through that. And then I got help from one of my friends, and they were like, we're going to keep you sober. I'm going to keep you sober. And I'm like, okay, whatever, that's not going to work. So I lost my job at the Salvation Army because of that. And then I ended up staying sober, maintaining for 2 weeks, white knuckling it. And I got an awesome job working construction, making a bunch of money. So I'm like, boom. I'm right back at it, I had a little down point and I fell off the ledge, but I'm right back at it. I'll be all right. So I start working at this job and I'm not drinking. I don't have a sponsor. I'm not working the steps, and I'm doing it all over again. And so I get out of there. They promote me after working there for 3 months. I'm working at the Phoenician in downtown Phoenix. It's like a construction company where I was a superintendent remodeling high-end hotels. And just fell into it. Of course, in my alcoholic ways, it's always just like, oh, that was easy, you know what I mean? And it's like, how fast can I throw it away? That's exactly, what happens. Am I thinking that at the time? No. So I get that promotion, and I'm going to Vail, Colorado. And the night I got the promotion, I left there, and I drove by Zips, one of the little pizza bar, whatever, downtown. And I'm like, once again, I was like, yeah, I think I deserve a drink. I just got a promotion, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be different this time. And so I have a drink, and I get a 12-ounce beer, and that turns into a 32-ounce mug, and then I have one more, and then I'm driving home with a huge buzz. And then I'm like, okay, I got to stop. I got to be able to get to Vail. Before I left on my trip to Vail in 1 week, I had to drive 13 hours straight. I went to my buddy's house, and I got 15 Perk 30s. Just like that. And it's like I hadn't been doing anything, I realize this is a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's just part of my story, and that's kind of part that I never tell. But it's like just from drinking some beers, and then all of a sudden, I can't drive to Vail without being high as a kite, so I better do something about that. So then I get to Vail, and I'm doing coke, acid, ecstasy, you name it. It is on full bore. I am there for 2 months, and you're not going to believe it, but I lost that job. My boss was in AA. He was 26 years in AA, 26 years sober, worked a program, awesome dude. His name was John. He died not too long ago, or Jack, I'm sorry. Jack, and he was just this hard-nosed, old school alcoholic, reminded me of like Clancy, and Mike. So he would always be like, when I'd come in and I'd be smelling a little bit in the morning, because I'm still trying to manage it, he's just like, you might have a problem. You should probably, and at this time I'm not telling him that I've been to AA and all this stuff, but I know he has just from other people working there. And so when it all fell apart and I didn't show up for work for 3 days, he was knocking at my door. And he's like, get in my truck. He's like, I'm taking you back to work. We're booking you a flight, and we're sending you to Scottsdale, and you're going to rehab. And so then I go to rehab in Scottsdale and do like a 45-day thing where my, that insurance through that construction company was really good. So it was like some $35,000 rehab, and that's going to fix me. And so I get out of there, and after 45 days of being in there, I develop, I have to get a root canal. And I'm like, the whole time I'm like, all right, dude, you have a sponsor. You haven't been calling him every day. you stopped at step 7, but you know you can't take pills if they offer you pills at the dentist's office. And so I get to the dentist's office, and he does the root canal, and he's like, do you want any pain medication for that? And I was like, yes, I do. And it was just like that. It was just like that. It triggered, and it's like, I told myself all this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. But you know what? I never ran it by anybody else. I never prayed about it. I never, it's because I wasn't done yet. Plain and simple. I just wasn't done yet. And so then I went off the deep end again for a while. And that one actually lasted for quite a while. So after that, I was living at my mom's again. This time I'm like 35 years old. And my alcoholism has progressed to the stage where I can't even do anything. I'm just like, wake up, go to Walgreens, 6 in the morning, because I drank all my alcohol from the night before. I get to the Walgreens, and every time I walk up to the register, the lady's like, it's only you and one other lady that are here every morning at 6 in the morning. And I'm like, just sell me the damn alcohol so I can get into my car and drink it, And it's just like, it's the worst life ever, but I can't stop. It's that allergy. It's that it's once it starts, I cannot stop it. I know there's a solution, but right now, the solution to my problem is alcohol, because I'm not willing to go to any lengths, and I'm not willing to accept the fact that I am an alcoholic, and my life is completely and totally unmanageable. So that goes on for a while. So I'm living at my mom's house. She's coming home every day. She's waking up every morning to go to work at like 5 in the morning. She's walking in the room just to smell the room, because she can just smell the alcohol off me, just to check if I'm dead. She sees that I'm breathing. She goes to work. So I'm just putting my mom through all this hell. And then it gets to the point where I start to have to go to the hospital because I can't move. She can't arouse me. She can't wake me. She's shaking me. She's trying to do everything. And so she gets some neighbor to help me get me in the car. So she takes me to the Phoenix VA once. And then when I'm there, I'm like at a 0.48 or something. And I stay there for 3 days, 2 days, do a detox, get out of there. And then I get a little better, and then I start drinking again, and then I start driving myself. So I'm completely wasted, and I drive myself back to the Phoenix VA like 3 more times to the emergency room, to the point where they're like, are you going to help yourself? Because eventually you're going to die. The doctors keep telling me you're going to die. And so that wasn't doing the trick for me either, going to the emergency rooms. That wasn't curing me either. So I was like, damn it, that's not going to work either. So then I go back to my mom's house and I drink myself to death again, or try to drink myself to death. And my mom's like, I'm getting you in the car and I'm taking you to the VA again. I don't want to go to that VA. It's not doing anything for me. I was like, drive me to the Tucson VA. So she drives me all the way to the Tucson VA. And, I get there and they have to get a wheelchair out, and I'm like a 0.5, and it's just like, I shouldn't even be alive. And so then I have to get a bus back from there to the Phoenix VA, and then the Phoenix VA, my mom comes and picks me up, and then I come back home, and then I did it again 2 more times to her to take me to the Tucson VA, because I thought that would work. And on the last time going to the Tucson VA, this lady was like, there's a domiciliary that's up in Prescott that could probably, help you. It's for veterans. It's like a rehab for veterans. And so I get up here, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna fix me. All in the meanwhile, the only thing that's gonna fix me is this program. But I just couldn't admit, and I couldn't accept that, where I was at in my life, and I was just trying to do it my way. And so I got up here to the VA, and I did 4 months in the domiciliary. I don't know if any of your vets in here, any of you know that, but it's just like, any other rehab, but it's just for veterans. And so I go through that, and I get out of there after 4 months, and while I'm in there, I learned that I could use the rest of my GI Bill, and I could go over to nursing school at the Yavapai College, and, actually maybe start a career at 37 years old, maybe do something with my life, because, whatever. And I'm always thinking that it's too late, because I'm living in my alcoholism still, and I'm like, I'm never going to amount to anything. It's, I've been doing this for too long. And so I get hooked up with school, and I just started my first semester, and I graduated, graduated. I got out of the dom, and I didn't get a sponsor, and I didn't work the steps, and I didn't go to meetings, and I got my own apartment in Prescott Valley. And when spring break hit, my first semester of school, I was driving by the, what was it called, liquor barn? And I'm like, I noticed that place before. I was like, it's spring break. Maybe I should do that. Oh no! First I had to go visit Whiskey Row. I went to Lizard's Lounge. That was a real winner of a place. And got wasted. Woke up the next morning with a hangover, and it was boom. I was straight off. So I said, oh, I can go up to the liquor barn right down the street, and I can drive myself, and I can be right back here, and it's only like a half mile each way. And I know there's a lot of cops around here, but I won't get caught. And so I get a half gallon, and then boom, I'm right back at it. And then I start calling in sick to work instantly, and I work for Groom Transportation. I still work for them, but I'm a dispatcher now. I'll get to that, why. But I was driving for them at the time. So anyways, long story short, I'm fully right back into it, and I'm going back to the emergency room at the VA. This time it's the Prescott VA, and right back at my 0.5 level. It's like, I guess it's my cherry level that I get at when I'm right before I'm about to die or something. And they see me twice, and then the last time the doctor's just like, listen, she goes, you've probably heard this before, but you're gonna kill yourself. One time you're gonna come in here, your liver, enzymes are gonna be too high, your kidneys are gonna shut down, your pancreas is gonna fail, something is going to happen. And you need to make a choice. Do you want to go drink yourself to death? This is the doctor saying this to me. She was this hardcore lady. She's like, do you want to go drink yourself to death? Or do you want to get out of this hospital and I'll do a referral and you can go back to the Dom for 1 month and maybe longer if you need to stay. And I was like, I just got out of the Dom. I don't want to do that, because I was all ashamed. So anyways, I get out of the hospital and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the Dom. It's right across from the hospital when you get out at the VA. And I'm looking over there and I'm like, I got to think about that a little more, and it's like, after she just told me that, it's like my alcoholic mind still has to think about that. And I'm like, well, I still got money in the account. I could call an Uber and I can go back home and then I could just, drink myself to death. And that was the point when I told you March 24th, 2018, that was my first moment of surrender. That was when I sat down on the bench outside there, bummed the cigarette off this nurse that was walking in. And she just looked at me like, what in the hell happened to you? I had a black eye. I forgot to tell you, I fell down my stairs. I ran into my door at the top of my stairs, rolled down the stairs. I was bruised from head to toe. I had a black eye. I was all swollen because of the alcohol. And I go up, can I bum a cigarette? She's probably like, who is this bum? And what is he doing just sitting out here on the bench? And I had my gym shorts on and everything. And so I just got a cigarette from her, and I sat down on that bench, and I was like, God, I am mentally, physically, spiritually, everything broken. I was like, please help me, And I walked over to the Dom and I checked in. I got a sponsor 7 days later. No, it's not like that. It just boom kicked in and I was like ready to go because I'm an alcoholic and I still have those thoughts. And so I'm in there for 7 days. Oh, shit, before that, I got a DUI right before I went in there. That's what I was trying to get at. Right before I went into the hospital the last time, I was driving up to the liquor barn. I pulled into the liquor barn. I dropped my wallet, and when I was turning the corner, it's a tight turn there, and I hit the damn liquor barn. Like, going to get alcohol, and the lady, looks out the side of the window, like, are you kidding me? And I was just like, I'm out of here. Took off, went back home, and anyways, shortly thereafter, I had to get in my car, so I parked my truck at my house, and I'm like, don't leave, the cops are probably looking for you, this is a small town, and I sat in my chair for like an hour, and I was like, but I need more alcohol, so I'm going to drive down to the Maverick, that's right on Lakeshore Drive. I had no idea there was a police station right there on Lakeshore Drive, and so I drive right by it, and as soon as I'm driving by it, the cops are out, they've been called because I hit the liquor barn. He's driving by me, and I just turn out onto Lakeshore, and I'm going this way, and he's going this way, and I'm like, please don't turn around, please don't turn around. He flips a bitch, and I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and boom, I hit the curb. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, he was going to pull me over anyways because I already got called in. So anyways, then I was in jail for a night, and then I was back in the hospital, and then I got into the dump. So anyways, that's why I no longer drive for that Groom Transportation. It's like, obviously, they're like, I'm just grateful, and it truly is a blessing that my boss, allowed me to stay there and work there because everything that transpired after that. So I start working the steps. I'm like 7 days in, and I'm just thinking about myself, and I'm thinking about damn, I still have money. I got to go back to my apartment. My apartment just can't be empty. I can't stay in here for 30 days. This isn't going to work. I have to get a job now that I don't have a job anymore. And I'm thinking about all these things. I'm future tripping so hard. And I'm like, I'm all in my alcoholic ways. And I called my sponsor up and I told him everything. And he's like, shut up and listen. He's like, just shut up and listen to me for 1 second. And he tells me this story, and he just gets me out of my own head. He tells me this story about himself, you know. He shares his experience with me. He tells me a story of an alcoholic that was my age that just died, that was from Las Vegas. And he goes, now, get off the phone with me. And he goes, I don't care if you go open a door for an old lady or you go find the guy that's way sicker than you that just got in the Dom. You go find somebody and you talk to them. And you tell them, you know, you share your experience with them and let them know how you got in there and take yourself out of yourself, you know. And that's the main thing with the disease. It's just I live up here all the time. And today, if I didn't work these steps in my life, like my life depended on it, then, you know, I would be right there again. And so, you know, today it's just these steps in my life, you know. You know, admitting I was an alcoholic, obviously you guys know just by the story I told you, admitting I was an alcoholic and my life was, you know, totally unmanageable was extremely hard for me to do, you know. It's a very humbling experience that, you know, my pride and my ego tells me that, you know, as you could tell from my story, somehow, some way, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to learn how to control and enjoy my drinking like I was a kid again, like back in high school when I just partied and I just had fun, and it simply was never the case, you know. And that goes to that, you know, that mental obsession that I have, you know. And then that leads me, the mental obsession, you know, in step one is like that, leads me to that physical allergy. And with that physical allergy, you know, the second that I pick up that drink and I put it in my body after I'm done obsessing over it and I don't stop myself because I still can't admit step one, it's like the second that I pick up that drink and put it in my body, then the phenomenon of craving kicks in. And you know the saying, one is too many and 75,000 is never enough or something like that. It's probably more, but that's what it feels like when I'm drinking, you know. It's like, it's just, I can't stop it. And so it's like, the mental obsession and the physical allergy, you know, they really they make it so I can't drink alcohol. I just can't do it. And the spiritual malady makes it so I can't not drink alcohol. Because when I have that spiritual malady in my life, and that goes into like steps 2 and step 3, you know, I am completely and totally insane, and I need to have the guidance of something else other than my will, you know. So turning my will and my life over to the care of God, you know, which I choose to call my creator, is what combats that spiritual malady, because that spiritual malady tells me that, you know, I don't have this illness, and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to beat it, like I told you, somehow, some way. And it simply just is not true, you know. And then cleaning up my side of the street, it's a huge, huge thing, because now that I've got that done, it's not like I can just go 1, 2, 3 and be like, boom, I'm done, because I've tried that before too. And that never works, you know. So it's like I've got to be completely thorough. And I have to be, like it says, searching and fearless moral inventory. It's like I've got to be as thorough as I can possibly be, because I am 100% as sick as my secrets. And it's like anything that I don't want to tell my sponsor, anything that I don't want to tell another member of Alcoholics Anonymous, my mom, whatever, dude, that means that I'm keeping it up here. And I'm going to be harboring that. Whether it's like my sponsor always says, he says it's the ants in the kitchen that'll come and get you, you know. It's like those little lies and those little resentments that you think aren't a big deal. It's like those are the ones that will eat and just feed in my alcoholic mind. And then the next thing you know is I'm picking up a drink, you know. And then I got to turn that over, you know, to God and myself and and to my sponsor, you know. I gotta let somebody else know what's going on in my head, So that's why step 5 is hugely important to me. And then when we get into step 6 and 7, when I get into step 6 and 7, it goes back to the step 1, which I've come to find that humility is a huge thing for me in all of these steps, in all of the, working the program in my life, because, my life depends on it. But, it's just, I'm going to have these defects, and I'm going to be this person that, in my alcoholic ways, but it's like, I have to be ready to remove those defects of character, have God remove those defects of character, because if not, then I'm never going to change, and I'm never going to do anything to work at, combating this alcoholism. And so, doing that was a huge deal. And then, the whole humility of the, I'm going to have shortcomings, so talking about removing those defects of character, yes, my major ones, my pride, my ego, I want to keep all those at bay, because those are the main things that, my selfishness, my self-centeredness, those are the ones that are going to creep up and bite me the fastest. But, I'm only human, that's as far as I'm ever going to get, is being human. And so I'm going to have shortcomings. And so that's another time that I can turn to my Creator and just, stop and recognize that I shouldn't be doing that, and I shouldn't be acting that way. But as long as I notice it, and that I can go back, I can fall back onto something, and I can pick up the tools laid at my feet that are, presented to me in this program, then, it helps out tremendously. The amends were a huge thing. What it talks about in, the promises, it's like, I'm going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. And I'm not going to regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. It's like these things are something that I never gave myself a chance to experience. I never gave myself the opportunity because I wasn't ready, like I told you before. But today it's completely different. When I went and started making these amends, and it wasn't like I'll just make that amends whenever I feel good, and it's like, I saw my mom the other day, but I didn't need to make amends to her at that time. It's like, I got to be ready to do it, because I've got to clean up my side of the street, and I've got to right the wrongs that I've made in my life. It's like, once I can do that, then I can move forward and continue to work this program. And so when I get to 10, 11, and 12, it's like, now after I've cleaned up my side of the street, I've got my Creator in my life, and I'm starting to understand why all the steps are in order and why this is the way it is, then I can continue to take that personal inventory, so I don't continue to rack up resentments or, need to keep making amends, and I can move on to what I should be doing. And so if that's at work, or if that's, out, at the grocery store or whatever, it's like, as soon as I recognize myself creating a resentment in somebody else, or a resentment in me because I feel like that guy pissed me off, it's like, I got to recognize that. And if I don't do it, like when I do my, like, what is 86, 87, 88 at night, when I retire and go through everything, it's like I have to do it immediately, because those are the things, like I was talking about in the 4th and 5th step, when I'm turning it over, I can't even harbor those, because the second that I start doing that is the second that I start taking my own will back, and I start to tell myself that, okay, I don't need to do that this time. Maybe I'll change my way next time. But it's like, who knows how I affected that person, whether it be my boss at work or my girlfriend or whatever. So to the best of my ability, I try and do that on a daily basis, living this program in my life, as a way of life. And then one of my favorite steps, step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to maintain or improve that conscious contact, with my Creator is immensely huge, because, if you haven't noticed, like, our higher power, whatever you choose to call it, my higher power is a huge part of this program. And it's like, if I'm continuing to tell myself that my way is okay, then I push that higher power out of my life, and it just never works. Every single time, it falters me. But it's like I read this part in the little red book. It's another one of these books that we're doing in my Monday group that I do with my guys. But it says it's not by mistake that most alcoholics first push God out of their life, and then the next thing you know, they're getting onto the track, and then they're picking up and they're drinking again. And it's like every time that's how it was when I went out, previously. It was always like, I don't need to pray today. I'll pray tomorrow or something, or I don't need to do this, or why should I do that? And then eventually I'm right back into my old ways. So continuing to maintain that conscious contact is huge. And that's not saying that I'm never going to go back and work a step 1, a step 2, a step 3, because all these steps and all the principles that are attached to them, I'm not going to name off every principle, but love, hope, and honesty and humility, and it's just like, why wouldn't I want to live my life like that? And why wouldn't I want to be the best possible person I can be? It's like I've lived all these years destroying and creating this gigantic wake of wreckage in my path. I think it's time for me to go out there and be a contributing member of society. And so with my Creator in my life and maintaining that conscious contact, I can have the opportunity to do that, knowing that I'm praying for the knowledge of His will and the power to carry that out. Because it's like, if I, for 1 second, like throughout the day, I'll constantly say, Thy will, my Creator, not mine, be done. Because I get into spots where maybe anger arises, maybe a little bit of hate, or, some sort of character defect, or, emotion that I know it shouldn't be there. So I take a second and I just center myself and I just say, Thy will, my Creator, not mine, be done. And that gets me on the right plane to know that my will is going to lead me down the wrong path. It always does. It always will. But it's just, I previously couldn't see that before. And then, having had the spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, and tried to carry this message to the next suffering alcoholic or alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs, is kind of what I was getting at in step 11, and I never once, like I got through the 11 steps previously with my other sponsors, but I never once, because I was so damn selfish, I always figured, if I can do it, you can do it. Why should I have to carry the message to you? You know what I mean? And can you imagine if Alcoholics Anonymous was like that? I'm pretty sure it still wouldn't be around. You just have a bunch of alcoholics running around out there, with no direction, nothing going on. It's like, but that was my mentality, because I never wanted to admit step 1, going all the way back. But today it's not like that. I got 3 sponsees, and working with them, it truly is an amazing thing, because it gets me out of my own head, and to keep this thing, like I said before, I got to give it away. And it's just a special thing going through the steps with another alcoholic, to see the growth, and to see them learn and actually change. It just brings me back to myself when I first came in the rooms, and I'm like, I'm never gonna stick around long enough to be like any of you. The old timers would say all their quirky stuff, and I'd just be like, whatever, dude. I just need to get a job, and I need to get a girlfriend, and everything's gonna be all right. And lo and behold, that never, ever, ever worked out. So today I'm just so grateful. I've never really talked and gone through the steps, so it was kind of like whatever. But I hope you got something out of it. And that's the one thing that I'm trying to do, or that I try to do when I come into a room of Alcoholics Anonymous, is the one thing that I was looking for most when I came in, and that's hope. So if you can get anything, I hope you do find some hope in the rooms, because that can carry you on to the next thing. Maybe you get a little humility in your life, like I did, and it just changes. It's like I said before, I don't deserve this, and it it truly is amazing, an amazing blessing to have the opportunity to work this program of Alcoholics Anonymous in my life each and every day. And all the amazing gifts that it has to offer, dude, it's like I wake up every day and I have like a solid routine that I stick to because I know how I like to stray. I know how I like to get in my own way. Just from my story, you can tell that. But it's today I wake up and I say my prayers. If I don't, because I'm not perfect, I'll recognize that. Like throughout the day, I'll be like, something is different about this morning, And it's like the gifts that have come from this program and developing that routine and sticking to it and following the example of others like Mike and like John and like Tony, and a lot of others, and the guys at my home group, I'm a member of my home group in Humdewey. They're actually in a meeting right now. But it's just to be a member and to be a part of this thing we call Alcoholics Anonymous and to get involved and, it's just, it truly is amazing, I use that word like 1,000 times because there's no other word that I can really choose to describe the feeling that I get not having to worry about tomorrow and not having to worry about yesterday and just living here in the present moment, And with that, I'm going to pass. I thank you all for letting me share, and thank you. Have a great night.
KD, would you please lead our speaker to the door? Our speaker will be at the rear exit, so you can thank them as you exit. Please give our speaker another big hand.